Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. What a weekend that was. So much football and some pretty intriguing basketball, too. We'll get to the Jazz and their double overtime win over the Bulls. We'll do that coming up in our next segment. But right now, let's start off with BYU, a team that dug an enormous hole, came back, had a chance to tie or win, and had a clutch turnover right at the end of the game that cost them. Nonetheless, it's a quad one loss. It's basically a road game flying cross country to play UConn in Boston. It's not like that's going to hurt them a lot in the tournament. Win might have helped them with some seeding, but a loss isn't going to hurt them. After the game, well, what went wrong? What did they like? Where were the silver linings? The head coach at the podium with two of his players is Kevin Young with, predictably, A.J. Dybantsa and Richie Saunders. Here they are after the game.
Kennard Davis was held out violation of team rules, so we'll to be determined on the length. I'll open it up, talk about the game. Great game.
Go ahead. AJ, a chance to come back home, play at TD Garden, Jaylen Brown here. Just how special was this experience for you?
No, it was exciting. Definitely see some familiar faces in the crowd. I haven't played in front of some of them people in a long, long time, so it was just good. It was a good outing.
And then Danny Hurley was just praising you for putting the first half behind you and having the quote special performance there in the second half. What allowed you to do that? What was the key to just getting going, finding your rhythm?
Just being calm. I had Coach KY, Coach JL to tell me, let the game come to you. Don't try to force it. And that's exactly what I did.
Jack?
Coach, can you tell us what's up with Kaba? Kata, how is he doing? What's the outlook?
Yeah, honestly, I still have not gotten an update. I know it was determined pretty quickly that he was not going to return, so I still need to get with the medical guys to get a full update.
What did you feel about the start of the game, and then what turned it around?
Well, I thought we were playing too fast. Their pressure bothered us, which surprised me a little bit because I think we're a hard team to pressure with Rob and AJ, but we were careless with the ball. And then, at halftime, we just talked about trying to play more of our style, which is get to the paint and be able to come on, play off 2 feet and play a little bit more controlled. I thought that they were very concerned about AJ and Rob, and some of their decisions in the first half weren't great. And then in the second half, once they kind of got that under control, we were able to score. We scored 52 points in the second half. Pretty impressive because it's a really good defensive team. But obviously, we made some threes as well in the second half to kind of open some space and open some driving lanes. But I think AJ showed how special he can be when he's able to just get to his spot and like he said, let the game come to him and just play under control. He can do some good things.
AJ, you seemed a lot more decisive coming into that second half with the spots you wanted to get to and what you were looking for. Was that a conscious change in mindset of like, okay, this is what's open right now with the way they're playing us? Or was that just something you feel out?
No, it's something I feel. Just taking what they give me. If they're going to force me mid, I'm just going to take the mid. I'm not going to try to force the baseline. It's just I work on every single day at 6:30. So, I was just trying to shoot those shots.
Kevin, do you think you're going to throw this many defensive looks at them coming in, or are you just trying to find something that kind of works? And what do you think kind of led to some of the stops to come back into?
There's a lot that happened in that game that I didn't think was going to happen. I didn't think we'd lose Cable right at the beginning of it. But we had, look, they're a really good offensive team, and they run a lot of. They're very layered. Their offense is very layered. Like most teams, you guard one action and then it kind of stops. They do a good job of keeping their kind of thing going. So we wanted to disrupt their rhythm, and I thought in order to do that, we had to switch up our defenses. So it definitely was in the cards. I thought we got pretty deep into the defensive bag, and we were throwing pretty much everything at them. I thought my staff did a good job of keeping fresh ideas. I thought the full court pressure really bothered them, which allowed us to kind of just muck the game up. Sometimes you got to do that, and it was good to see our guys execute a lot of different coverages.
Go ahead.
AJ, colleague said, earlier was mentioned, said the word growth a lot from one game to the next, how much you've seen just from your development or whatever. And I was curious, how much does a game like this where you're at home, playing from behind, you're trying to stay, you use the word calm, like how much does that help you grow in the terms of like staying poised, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely just coming in as a freshman, it's like a new environment. I played in NBA arenas before, but I haven't played in like one field like this. And obviously they brought a lot of fans and everything like that. So I just had to stay calm, stay poised, like my coaches told me.
Coach, your team, you're down 20 and you come back and you showed a lot of resolve, and you lost a big man early. How can you build on even though it's a loss? How can you build on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is how you grow. You go through the pressure cooker, you go through adverse times, and I think it's part of a season. You got to learn from the good and bad. Like Richie, as an example, he was having a hard time making shots from the outside, so he put his head down and got to the rim a number of times, and really was trying to will his way to helping the team. And so I think as you go through a season, I said this after our last game. Every game kind of has a life of its own, so you got to figure out, what's the recipe for that specific game, and then by the time you get to the end of the season, you have a pretty good reference point, and you're able to. That's why games like this help you in the postseason and later in the year, because you can always go back to, hey, remember that one time we got to do X, Y, or Z. And so, for a young guy like AJ, I think that's super important. For a guy like Richie, who has a lot of experience, I rely on him. To share that wisdom with our guys, and that's what we hope to take from this game.
Richie down 18-20 in the second half. You guys didn't seem to look like you had a lot of energy, but then there was a decision to go to pressure. How did that decision come about, and what were you feeling at the time? What did you see out of your teammates in that? That adversity?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows a lot about what we're about, just figuring out. I think we, especially as a young group, that comes with a lot of energy. And I love playing around these guys because of that. Every day in practice, it's like that. And so, it's frustrating to come up short like that. But the one thing that I'll take is that, like, we're not going to stop. We're not going to give up, even when adversity hits and we're down like that.
Go here.
Just because Silas was walking through what he saw on that last handoff play, and I was curious, he was like, there's no way we're going to let AJ get the ball in that situation. And I was curious what you saw as a developer, because it looked like routine play, but in a 3-point game, nothing's routine. So I was curious what you saw as a handoff.
Yeah, Rob had the ball. I trust him with his decisions. I feel like he's one of the better point guards in the country, if not the best point guard. Obviously, you probably seen that they doubled me, so we tried to split it, but I don't know who got their hand on the ball. It might have been Silas, and that kind of sniffed it out. So just a good defensive play.
Any more questions?
I don't really like that.
Oh yeah, use your loud voice.
AJ, I wanted to know, we kind of had an inkling that there would be a lot of UConn fans in this arena. Were you expecting it to get that loud in that first half, and how did you kind of feel yourself adjust to the NBA arena noise filled with opposing team fans, even though you're home?
No, I kind of expected it. I seen all over social media that they're going to have a whiteout here, and I know that they're known for traveling. UConn's not that far away, but I knew they're going to come travel. I knew it was going to be loud.
Go ahead.
So, Coach, want to ask what the experience has been like coaching AJ so far, and getting acclimated to the college game and your program so far.
Oh, it's been a good experience. He's a mature young man. I think I respect about him is he's come in here and he respects things that are were already in place. I think he respects what Richie did for our team last year. I think he respects the fact that Richie was the first team all-league player, most improved player in our league, and come in and not made it all about himself. But at the same time, he's been able to deliver in big moments for us. He did it in the Villanova game, took the game over down the stretch. Made some huge plays tonight repeatedly. But the way he goes about his business, I really respect it. I think he's a very mature young man, and obviously the talent is on full display, but what's more impressive is how he goes about his business. I've been around some of the greatest players that this game's ever had, and they all have the same thing in common in terms of how they go about their approach and how much they're a student of the game and how hard they want to be coached. And I see a lot of similarities in his mentality, similar to the great guys I coached. Was very fortunate to coach in the NBA.
Okay, we'll go Tad, and then we'll have the last question here.
Kevin, can you talk about that decision to go to full court pressure and all the switching defense that you did, the zones?
Yeah, in a game like that, man, when you feel like the whole world's working against you, you just kind of have to, like I said, every game has a life of its own. So we were trying to push the right buttons. Like I said, I give my staff credit for coming up with different ideas and different things I'm trying to process in real time with my own ideas. And so, but at the end of the day, the guys have to execute it. And so again, to your question before, I think that's a reference point we can use as we move forward. For us, this is still all new for me. Like the whole college. Right, so like last year we had no good games like at all to start the year. We were like playing respectfully teams that weren't that good. So for me, it's like now all of a sudden you're playing in a game that high level this early in the season, and it puts you in situations that otherwise like last year we didn't face any of that, and it hurt us when we started the conference play. And so I think it's it's really good for our group to have to execute different things or whatever the case may be, but just to play in a heated game like that, I think is really going to help us as we, like I said, start to just navigate the rest of our year, and particularly when we get to the latter part of the season.
The last question right here.
AJ, I want to piggyback off of that answer. As Richie, as coach, would tell you, Big 12 arenas are very tough to play in. Tonight it was a bit of a mixed crowd, obviously a home game for you. Obviously a big contingent coming from Connecticut. Is there anything that you took away from this pressure, this environment of this game that you're going to look forward to applying when you play in Lubbock or in Houston or wherever you play down the road?
Just don't let it get to you. Obviously, like when you're shooting free throws, I missed some big ones, but you can hear the crowd in the background and you can see it behind the backboard. So just try not to let that affect you and just try to use it as motivation.
There's Kevin Young, AJ Dybantsa, and Richie Saunders after BYU loses a squeaker to UConn. A reminder to join Jake and Ben tomorrow from 10 to noon at Belliston Jewelry in Ogden, 1155 36th Street. Belliston Jewelry, locally made just for you, cherished for generations. When we come back, the Jazz win in double overtime. We'll get to the Best of Jazz postgame show. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Well, the Utah Jazz get a win. They beat the Bulls in double overtime, 150 to 147. A wild game. Lauri Markkanen goes for 40 again. Let's get to Jake and the Best of the postgame show.
Sure Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz win in double overtime over the Chicago Bulls, 150 to 147, thanks to a last-second three-point bucket from Keontae George to win it. Keontae finished the game with 33 points and 6 assists. Lauri Markkanen led the way. Man, he's off to a monster start this year. He had 47 points on 15 of 33 shooting, 6 of 17 from 3 in the win for the Utah Jazz. Let's get to the postgame sound and Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
It's a really gritty win. I think the emotional highs and lows that go into the end of that game, you can't underestimate. So many guys made an impact tonight. Obviously Lauri is going to get talked about a lot, and he carried us. His presence settled us down. He didn't carry us. His presence settled us down for the majority of the game. Keontae had a tough start and then really came on in the second half and overtime, made some big plays. I thought having he and Zay in the game helped us a lot. Bryce deserves a lot of love tonight. His minutes have not been super consistent. I think he played about 20 minutes straight in that game, made some really big shots, made some big plays. I think his engagement on the defensive end is continuing to go up. Nurk has been really a centerpiece in our team and doesn't get talked about really at all. But the screen setting, the rebounding, the rebound at the end to get those free throws is a huge play. I could go down the list and talk about every guy, but more than anything, we're showing growth in terms of our mindset. When things don't go well at the end of regulation and we end up in overtime, things don't go well at the end of the first overtime, we end up in double overtime. And the guys stayed focused and made a lot of big plays. I'm just proud of them for hanging in the fight, and it's a great team win. I thought our fans were incredible tonight. I thought the energy in the building was tremendous. Really proud of the team.
Got to ask about the delay of games. Number one, the first one, it seemed like Keontae was kind of sprinting out of the tunnel to start the game.
I mean, I don't know. He has 3 hours to get dressed. I don't know what happened, but I know that I looked out there and he wasn't there and we got a delay.
The second one, what was the reason that you were given for the second?
Team attendant came out to wipe up sweat without being asked by the officials. I don't want to give money away, so I'm not going to comment on what I think of that particular moment. Christmas is coming.
The maturity of your backcourt, is this just a victory you maybe not have been able to get in the last 2 years as those guys were first and second year players?
That's hard to say. I do feel like their presence, their communication, their understanding of what we're trying to do is for sure higher than it was last year. And so I want to give them credit for their growth. It'd be hard for me to say like, oh, last year we wouldn't have won because of where they were in their arc. But I think that, if you talk to Zay and Keontae, I coach those guys hard. And they're amazing to work with. They respond well. They understand. We go back and forth. We have moments where we butt heads, but I'm really proud of both of those guys. Being a guard in the NBA is really hard. Being a young guard in the NBA, playing down the stretch of games, having responsibility that's probably a little bit ahead of where you are in your career. Those guys handle it with a lot of grace because sometimes the moments are difficult and they're front and center, but I'm proud of both of those guys.
When it comes to Bryce, you mentioned kind of his uptick on the defensive side. Where have you seen that or how have you seen that evolve? Not just like in the last year, but especially in the last few weeks since the season started.
Yeah, I think he's earlier to his spots. Defense requires thinking one step ahead. And if you can get your body to a spot early, then you usually only have to move in one direction. If you are late, then you have to go in and out, and those plays athletically are hard for anybody. So I think he's been better at being early in his help positioning so that he can just move in one direction.
How much does the shape that he's in now contributed to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the work that Bryce has done on his body shows in a lot of ways.
What does Ace need to do defensively to just be able to stay on the floor?
Yeah, it's the first 4 fouls were all pretty similar. 2 hands, kind of hand checking on drives, and and then in the second half he did a good job of showing his hands and clipped him with his hip. Those plays can happen, but those weren't why he fouled out. It was the first 4. But he understands. Like, I think for the most part, Ace has done a pretty good job of showing his hands. For whatever reason tonight, some of those guys driving downhill at him, especially in transition, like your instinct as a human is to protect this part of your body, and so you kind of go like this, and those are easy calls for the officials. So he'll look at the film, but I don't think it's an issue in this moment because we haven't had a ton of these with him.
With Keontae, of course, he had the huge basket, but it's also in the little things with him. He made a lot of little reads throughout the night, just communication with Lowry, with Nurk. How have you seen him evolve when it comes to his decision making, especially in crunch time situations?
Yeah, those situations are, we sort of try to set up the environment and then they have to all think together. We don't do a ton of one person by themselves and everybody else watch them. So I think that Keontae's understanding of what the objective is based on who he's playing those possessions with is important. Like when he's handling and Lowry is screening, what are we trying to do? the last shot he made, when Zay is the one initiating and doing the handoff to him, what is his read? You know, we've used Keontae as a screener a little bit, you know, lately. And so I think the depth of his understanding is showing, because it's not just one situation. When guys are first starting out, you want to try to see growth in something, and so you keep it pretty consistent. Like, hey, you're going to be in this spot. The environment looks generally the same, so if they can get good at the reads, I think Keontae's at a point now where we can mix things up, which helps us. It keeps our opponent on their toes a little bit, but you know, he does the work in practice. He does the work watching film. Keontae's a really smart, like a really, really smart young man. You know, you guys interact with him a ton. Like, he's sharp, and we're fortunate, and I'm fortunate that I can put him in a bunch of different spots because it allows us to change things on the fly.
Does he deserve kind of a moment like this? Right?
Keontae?
I know exactly what you're
No. Yeah, he does. He does. Keontae works really hard. He cares as much as any guy I've been around. He wants it bad. And I'm really happy for him. So I'll be nice to him for the rest of the night.
It's okay to pat him.
Yeah, and then I'll see him tomorrow.
That is Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on and hear from Bryce Sensabaugh.
Kidding. I wanted Bryce Sensabaugh tonight because he made two of the biggest hustle plays that kept this game alive. Bryce,
Yes,
let's walk through them. Let's talk about first. The offensive rebound was really was an absolutely fabulous play.
Yeah, man. I'm just, doing everything that I can, man. Scratching and clawing, to impact the game. And, a lot of the times late game, teams forget to box out. So, I'm just crashing through the elbows. Things that we work on, and I was fortunate tonight.
You've made your life as a scorer, and you're being asked to do these other things. How's that adjustment?
Man, it's been great. It's a lot of fun, not just relying on my shot, and, just impacting the game in so many ways, and becoming an all-around player is very important for me, and it's something I've been working on nonstop this season, and, I feel like it's paying off.
All right, now I'm forgetting the second one, but I talked about it throughout the broadcast. What was the second hustle play? Do you know what I'm talking about? You gonna tell me which one it was? Loose ball, knocked away a loose ball or something, I think?
Dive on the floor?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. There was quite a few of them, and I'm proud of myself for that. Putting my body on the line, taking that charge, it was a block, but things like that, just, putting my body on the line for this team to get wins is very important for me, and, that's, this team is bigger than me, so I'm going to do whatever it takes.
You've been with Key this whole journey. What did you see out of him tonight? He had a rough first half, and what did you see out of him that he bounced back tonight?
Man, this whole season, like, his mental toughness has been off the charts. Like, the stuff that he has to handle as a lead guard in the NBA at such a young age, he handles it with great poise, and I tell him all the time, like, whatever you do, like, we're living and dying on that hill, and today we live, so.
And what about Lowry, back-to-back 40-plus?
Man, amazing, all-star caliber player. I should be in the MVP race right now. He's willed us to a bunch of wins this season, in this early season, and, man, he's just, we rely on that guy so much, and he's so tough, getting to his spots, and, he's a footer, so he gets a shot off whenever he wants to. So, he makes everybody's life easier.
Super proud of you, Bryce. Great job.
Yes,
Way to
sir.
bounce back. Tough start to the season. You've earned it now. Great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
See you.
That's Bryce Sensabaugh. Great game for Bryce. 16 coming in off the bench and a bunch of big-time hustle plays down the stretch. Let's now hear from Lowry Markkinen.
Just getting the win. It was a hard fight, obviously, and I think everybody had to give their all tonight, and I think we can be happy about this win, but there's obviously stuff that we can fix, but it's hard to win games like this, so that's all that matters.
How much is it mental when you're playing in double overtime?
It's very mental, just executing. Everybody's tired, not just you. It's your teammates, it's your opponents. Everybody's tired. You got to understand that. And just pushing everything out of your body, and I think that takes a little mental strength, and not just physically, but like it takes obviously trying to execute down the stretch while you're tired. Defensive coverage, call it out. So But these are the games that you want to play. Obviously, they're a lot of fun. We wish that we got it done in the regulation, obviously, but I mean, you wouldn't change double overtime game. Those are fun.
What do you think you're scoring so much this year?
I think I'm getting good looks. I've always said it about my teammates. There's them setting screens and finding me, and it wasn't different tonight. They did a great job. Feels good to see a couple go down. But obviously, I don't know if I've ever shot 33 times in a game. So I'm sure that helps. Kind of the volume is higher.
Do you feel like you're scoring more easily this year than you have in years past?
I feel like I mean, there's some easy buckets that you get when we move the ball and move the body so well that like defense going to mess up sometimes and just get a wide open dunk with them switching off the ball or whatever. But still got to work for some of them. Obviously, NBA has a lot of good defenders, and just kind of trying to find my way.
There's Lowry, 47 points from Lowry, marking a career-high 33 attempts, 15 of 33 from the field. Let's hear from the game's hero, Keontae George.
Yeah, but my jersey wasn't on. That's what happened. I don't know. My age came out with that one.
Obviously, not the way that you want to start tonight, but from that being the start to then finishing up with a game winner, that's got to feel good.
For sure. I think during the third quarter, Will came up to me and he just kept telling me like the tide was going to turn at some point. And he always tells me like just play the game the right way, and the game will end up finding you. And so I try my best to, you know what I'm saying, just play in the flow, play Jazz basketball. And then, like he said, the tide started turning for me. Shots started to fall. I was able to get a couple free throws, a couple layups. But, I just think, obviously I haven't been able to watch the film, but I think I'm glad that I was able to just play in the flow of the game and not try to force so I could try to shoot myself out of a slump or whatever. I was still playing in the flow and everybody was still in rhythm.
When you're sprinting out to try and make it out there in time for tip-off, does that throw you off at the start of the game?
It got my heart rate up. That was good for me. And I was able to kind of start the game a little fast. And but, I mean, I told Scott as soon as it happened, I said there's a first time for everything.
We've seen Bryce develop this year kind of defensively, holding him accountable, but then tonight had a big impact on that side of the game. What have you seen just in that part of his development of the last 9-12 months?
We talk about sacrifice, and I think Bryce has sacrificed a lot. Like, obviously, y'all know what he's capable of, but the fact that he's sitting down, on the court, you hear his voice. Like, he's really locked into the scheme with whoever we're playing. And then on the opposite side of the ball, you already know, like, he can shoot the ball really well. If we need him to go get one, he can. I mean, down the stretch, he had a play where he was at the elbow, and he looked around. I was like, go ahead. And so, like, I think he's really finding his identity within himself. So when he goes out on the floor, he already knows what his job is, and he just every day, like, I see the professionalism, I see how he works. There before practice, after practice, like, it's just so many things that go into him performing out there. And then he's just been staying ready. And tonight, I don't know how long he played. I think Will came in and said he played like 20 minutes straight, but I think that's just a testament to Bryce, like, staying ready. Like, I mean, he could have easily just hung his head, like getting a couple DNPs and then playing 6 minutes here, 6 minutes there. But his time came tonight, and he was able to close the game. So I think for Bryce, this is a really good, I guess, I don't know how to explain it, but he should feel really good about himself, and this should start kind of his rhythm going in for the rest of the season.
As a point guard, when you see Lowry's got, like 18 and a half, 30 by the third quarter, do you want to find him more often, and how do you make that happen?
It's not about do I want to, it's about how do we. Because at the end of the day, they're going to try to ruffle him up, try to push him around. So I think, I don't know, us guards being great screeners, we're able to play out of the 5. So I think we just all got, like, when he has 40, like, at that point, he going to throw it up to the roof and it might go in. So, but I think to answer your question, it's just about us being great screeners and then putting pressure on the paint And then knowing that, I mean, if his guy doesn't help, then it's easy layups. But if they do, then, you know, their head coach is going to be mad. So I think it's just about, like I said, playing in the flow and finding the high hand. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it.
Those shots are the shot every kid dreams of hitting when they're on the playground by themselves. Do you still have an ability to kind of step back in the moment and realize that's just really unique and pretty special?
I mean, I probably won't really sit back and think about what you're talking about till I get home, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Will drew the play up. Obviously, you know, Larry, we wanted to get the ball to Larry. But I think the biggest testament to Larry is, like, he was empowering me the whole time down the stretch. Like, he passing me the ball back. He like the three I had on Vucevic, like, he threw the ball back. It was like, go at him. I'm like, all right. Like, if I had 40, I'll tell you to swing me the ball. But, like, just to get that moment and for Zay to obviously trust me to make the shot. And obviously I'll go back home and watch the video. But, I mean, it was just great to hear our crowd scream and yell and get back in the win column, honestly.
That's Keontae George. Big three to win it. And the Jazz win 150-147 over the Chicago Bulls.
All right, there's the best of the postgame show. When we come back, we'll hear from a couple more guys who enjoyed wins over the weekend. Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Well, BYU and Utah both win big. Dominant performances. We'll start with Kyle Whittingham. The Utes on the road at Baylor, 55-28. They ran it, and they ran it some more. So many big plays. The defense with a big pick six that helped break the game open. Here's Kyle Whittingham after the win.
Okay, proud of our guys. There was a lot of back and forth there for a while, but we just kept at it and answered the bell every time. And you know, credit Baylor, they're a scrappy team, and the quarterback's a real weapon. That's the best receiving core we've seen all year. There's no question about that. Tight ends outstanding, and so they got a lot going for them, particularly on offense. But our guys were dialed in tonight. Didn't have our best outing defensively as far as yardage given up, but it's passing yards are different than rushing yards. If you throw for over 400, you have less than a 50-50 chance to win. That's statistically proven, and so just proud of the way that the whole team hung in there. Bird Ficklin was probably the biggest catalyst for us when we needed it. He provided 2 huge runs for us, and the guy's just a really good football player. I don't know what to say. He's got a bright future, as I've said several times before, and he's just really provides a spark for us. Wayshawn Parker did a nice job. They went over 100 yards again, and he's really motivated to do that because whenever he does it, he gets to wear those pink cleats again the next week. And so I've made a deal with him, and so he gets to we see him in pink cleats next week. But thought our defense, even though we gave up some stuff, played well on third down, held them to below right around 30%, which is good defense. Ran the ball for almost 400 yards, which has kind of been our calling card this year. We're second or third in the country rushing the football, and that offensive line is a huge reason why we're able to do that week in and week out. And credit the way they played. Got decent pressure on the quarterback, not great, but enough to make it a little bit uncomfortable for him. A couple interceptions, pick six. One was a pick six. That was a big play at that time, and so a lot of good things. A lot of things in that game that for both sides that they did well, but we did enough to get the win. So questions.
Kyle, is this the most unique win you've had at Utah in quite some time in terms of the defensive struggles and that?
I'd have to go back and really look at it, but it's the most unique win, I guess you could say, in the at least the short-term past. But it was definitely a back and forth, and defensively we usually control things a little bit better, but today they got a good offense, like I said, and they got some weapons over there.
Spencer Funnell said it's about time that the offense stepped up for the defense when they needed it. Kenny, what does that mean to you to be able to have an offense that does continue to kind of answer that?
Yeah, well, that's a credit to Spencer, first of all, and the kind of person he is, and he's a competitor, and he's a team guy all the way. And our offense has done pretty good this year. I mean, we're first or second in the league in a lot of categories, and they've really, when you consider how much we struggled last year, I mean, the turnaround has been remarkable. So very proud of those guys.
When you brought Bird in for Devin, was that because Devin was hurt or just because you were needing his spark?
Devin's a little bit beat up. There's no secret about that. That's no secret. And but he's a competitor. He's a warrior. He goes out, unless he absolutely can't function at all. He's going to want to play. And he wasn't his normal self tonight, but good enough to go out and do some good things. But Bird, it's great to have Bird, in the bullpen in the event that we need him.
Kyle, how much is there, maybe not a concern, but just not wanting to overwork Devin during the week, knowing that you need to get him to Saturday?
Yeah, that's every week we do that. That's a plan that we lay out, and it'll be the same this week, where he takes a lot of just mental reps, especially early in the week, and then we start to integrate him in as we get deeper into the week.
Just a quick follow-up. Do you need to see like a certain percentage of Devin during the week just to know that he is capable?
No, we just need him on game day to say I'm ready to go, because he knows this offense inside and out, as I've said many times, and the reps for him, even if they're just mental or even just not moving, but just taking the snap and going through his progression. He's a guy that he's a veteran, and if he didn't feel like he could help us win, then he'd let us know.
Is he doing any physical work during the week?
Some weeks no, some weeks yes. Yeah, I can say this: if we had to have played last Saturday, if we hadn't had a bye, he would not have been able to play. So that's without a doubt. He just wasn't ready.
Obviously, Dev and Bird seem like they have a pretty close relationship. Just speak to the unselfishness of Dev. When you go and call Bird's number and you're splitting out Devin wide or Bird wide, what does that mean in terms of his leadership, his unselfishness, and just the leadership in the locker room?
Yeah, well, that's who he is. He's an absolute team guy as well. We got a bunch of guys that are just I can't pick out a selfish player on this football team and say this guy needs to come to the party a little bit as far as being a team guy. It's a bunch of guys all pulling in the same direction, caring more about the team than they do about themselves. And that's we say we have a lot of slogans, I guess, and fall in love with the team, not yourself. And that's what these guys have done.
Quick follow-up, was there a decision made at halftime to kind of put Bird and get him more involved in the offense?
Yep,
and
there
how
was.
Did you sort of walk him through that decision?
Well, I was in with the offensive staff, and and Devin was doing what he could do, but Bird, he's a weapon, especially in that Q run game, and we just decided that, hey, let's do a little higher dose of Bird in this second half, and proved to be helpful.
How was Bird sort of growing up? Not necessarily over the course of the season, but week to week, how he learns, how he processes.
Oh yeah, he's maturing and becoming more seasoned every single week, and he has not had a game that he was inserted where the stage was too big. He's responded well every single time he's been in the game, and so like I said, the moment is not too big for Bird, and he's going to be a really good one.
Kyle, was there anything in particular that really caused you fits on the defensive side, especially secondary?
Well, just the fade balls. It's you throw up those 50-50 balls, and we didn't make enough of a percentage of them, for our liking. They're going to connect on some. Like I said, that receiving core is outstanding, and the tight end, you're going to be seeing him play on Sunday for a long time. But that we got to do a little better job of winning more of the 50-50 balls, at least tonight.
There was a scuffle during the game. What do you do with that after the fact, and kind of what has happened after that?
Yeah, well, they both got personal fouls. The Scooby, I think, is the one you're talking about down in the, I don't know where north and south is, that end zone, whatever, our locker room end zone. But Scooby lost his cool a little bit, and obviously the other guy had something to do with it as well, or he wouldn't have got flagged. So we'll sort that out, and I don't know if that means that Scooby's out for the first half of the next game. He does? Well, that sucks. Okay, well, yeah. So we'll, heat of the moment, competitive, but you got to keep it cool. I'm not making excuses for Scooby. I don't know enough about the situation right now to tell you a definitive course of action for us, but we'll find out.
There's Kyle Whittingham after the win. Now here's the head coach of the BYU Cougars, who also won big, who also were in complete control at halftime. Here's Kalani Sitake.
Great game. Really proud of the guys, and
Proud of the way they bounced back, especially from last week. I felt like there was a different sense of urgency from them all week long in the prep. And so I'm glad that it all worked out. And, TCU is a really good team. I think it was just a matter of us putting it all together in all three phases. I think it worked out nicely. And it felt good. This game felt like I've been asking us to do this the whole time. So it's my job to get them to play this way every game. But I'm glad that it showed up now, and especially in November, where we can try to build some momentum off of it. So, just talked to Sonny before the game and everything, and just the Big 12's crazy, So around this time, you got to be ready to play at the end. And we saw a lot of the games in college football, how close they were, and so it was just nice being in control of this one. And just really proud of the guys overall. Proud of the coaches. Thought they worked really hard too, and I thought it was a really good game plan in all three phases. Not perfect enough, but we'll take the win. But there's a lot of room for improvement still, and we'll just get to work. But right now we got to celebrate it and got to praise the guys for what they were able to get done. So, what questions do you guys have for me?
When you bring up the game plan, what were the areas of focus this week offensively, kind of bouncing back from last week?
Yeah, offensively, I felt like it was just good. Let Bear throw the ball, and you don't always have to max pro for him. I think let the tackles block and let the we threw the ball in a lot of different ways, play action, but also we're able to just do some drop back pass and just open the playbook and just let us do our thing and mix in the run too. But I felt like we were just trying to do whatever we took to get points on the board and keep the first downs. That's a lot of first downs, and so it was good to put it all together and then taking care of the football. I was really pleased with how our offense did that, but it just felt like that's what we're capable of doing. We just got to keep the momentum going and get into next week.
Kalani, you scored as an offense on your first 7 drives, didn't punt until the fourth quarter. How pleased were you with the efficiency, and what do you feel like kind of keep that efficiency from inconsistency from drive to drive?
Yeah, I thought just it helps when you win first down, So even though I think some of the first downs were just a 3-yard gain, it's okay, and then you just build off of that. I like that the guys played pretty disciplined. I don't know how many penalties we got, but 2 penalties. I think one was the PI at the end on our backup, and then the other one was a hold. I think on Jada on the fly sweep. So other than that, the guys played pretty clean and not a lot of MAs on all 3 phases. The guys played pretty good. We can do some really good things if everyone plays clean football.
Kalani, did you allow yourself to start thinking about this notion of style points because of where the CFP is, where you are during this game at all?
I just want to win the game, and winning is the best style to me. So yeah, I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. We're just trying to grind the clock, and we went really conservative at the end, trying to just end the game, So, and I was just happy with how the guys responded. We got some reserve guys in there and some really quality reps against their ones, and I'm glad they were able to get a stop and gave a little bit too many yards, but they got a stop, and it'll be great to build on that.
Do you feel like you were treated fairly by the CFP committee with this last release of the ranking?
Yeah, I don't get involved in that. I'm just going to keep playing ball. So yeah, I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about that stuff. We just play ball. Huh?
You were pretty fired up after that Satuala interception, and add Tanner Wall's interception to hold this offense to just 1 touchdown. What does that say about the opportunistic nature of this team?
Yeah, I thought defensively, Jay Hill and the staff, the defensive staff did an amazing job prepping for this game, and then the players just executed everything that we asked them to, and they were able to get some chunk yardage. I think in the run game they were trying to force the run, but it got to the point where it was too far. They were too far behind to catch up, and so we knew that we could make it hard on them, at least limit the big plays. But I thought overall defensively, great game plan. I was fired up about Fale's interception because Tausili got some pressure. That's what we brought him here to do, to get some pressure, and he had a really good game, and we just got to get him on the field, and Nusi and all those guys done a great job. So we used a bunch of guys, and it's just nice to see them coming along and giving them opportunities to make plays. I was fired up for the entire defense on that.
What were your thoughts on the physicality of the offense? You guys had 13 more minutes, time of possession. Just speak to kind kind of the methodical drives you guys sustained to get scoring drives.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm an old fullback, so that's my kind of style, you know. And, it was good to see the guys get some hard yards in there and just play some physical football. So that was a lot of fun.
Kalani, what made you want to change punters this week?
Well, Sam punted last week. He was banged up. He was hurt on his kicking leg. So that probably explains some of the shanks that he had. He had a couple shanks, and that wasn't like, that's not how he kicks normally. So I think you remember at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, we were trying to pin them deep, and he went off the side of his foot. And so the decision was to let him hold and then rest him from kicking. And so I hope that he can be ready to go this next week. But Fuller is great. Fuller can kick. He's got a strong leg. It's just unfortunate that he dropped the ball on that one, and because he's such a talented kicker. And so we still believe in him. He's still young, but I think he'll get his opportunities. And I told him, we still have faith in him being a kicker for us.
How did you feel Bear rebounded from last week's performance today?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I thought he looked different this week in practice. I think he wasn't happy with the result and how he played last week, and I like it when guys, show it in the week of prep, and so all week in practice he was a little bit different. He was more focused on what he wanted to get done this weekend. So it was good to see that.
How big of a
He's
focus?
growing up.
How big of a focus was it to get LJ a bigger volume of touches? He got 25 touches tonight.
Yeah, we know that if we can just give him the ball, he's healed up a little bit, so he can deliver, a little bit of some punishment. So I don't mind letting him earn those yards like that. It's okay.
Carson had one of the best performances of his college career tonight with 79 yards and a touchdown. What does it do for you guys' offense to really get the tight end involved in the passing game like that?
Yeah, I'm really proud of all that Carson does. I mean, tonight he was able to catch the ball, but for the most part he's been amazing all year long, blocking and working with Kian and Noah and the other tight ends. They've done a great job. So just really proud of all that he's done. It was good to see him get the ball and score.
Piggybacking off of that, Carson Ryan, the way that Aaron utilized him, he was extending him out, getting some isolated one-on-one situations on the peripheral kind of offensive formations rather than in line. Could you kind of expound on that?
Yeah, looking at the game plan, A-Rod did a great job at organizing different looks, and then throwing bullet screens out there a little bit. He's athletic enough that he can run routes on DBs, but he's also, he's physical that you can use him to block too out in space. So it's just been really nice to be able to use all the guys and all the weapons that we have, and it was good that everybody was able to execute. So just really proud of overall the performance.
You brought up Telsili, Ukana, and Newsy got a sack late. How do you feel this pass rush is coming along as the final stretch run of the season?
Yeah, they're still young, so they're coming along really nicely, and it's the right timing. So we'll see what happens. We got another beast next week, Cincinnati throws the ball all over the place, so this will be a good opportunity for those guys to see what they can do.
Last
But
two questions.
yeah, I'm just really pleased with everybody and how they worked this weekend. Tonight.
You lost Waylon in game due to injury. Was he the only one that went down that you're aware of?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He's tough, He's we just have a really good rotation, and there's no point in putting him in if he wasn't going to be 100%. Sonny and Kyle and the rest of them can take care of it. So, and Austin and those guys.
It's been pretty minimal comparative to the teams that you're competing against, especially this late in the season. What do you attribute that to, the minimal amount of individuals that are out?
Oh, you're talking about injuries? Yeah, I think a lot of factors go into it. One is the training room. Our trainers have done an amazing job with our doctors, and then you have to give a lot of credit to the strength room. To our strength coaches, to Phyllis and the group, and Skylar's done a great job organizing the entire thing. So when they are able to, we use science with what we do, and we've been physical. We've been physical this entire season, and especially during camp. And so I think that stuff is all starting to carry over. And I think right now we're I expect our guys to be stronger now than they've ever been. And so the statistics tell us that, and the analytics tell us that we're doing a really good job right now and probably in better shape now than we were even 6 weeks ago. So that's good going into, to the end of the season.
All right, there's Kalani Sitake after BYU picks up the win. Now they are off to Cincinnati for a big game next week. A reminder, you can nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. What is trending? The headlines are next.